Good evening, all. I'm going to be tasting Founder's Kentucky Breakfast Stout, a flavored stout. It's 11.2 ABV, and you got it at the Community Tap here in Greenville. If you live in the area, you should patronize them. And there was a limit of 2 bottles per customer. And looking online, that's the sort of reception it gets, and whatever place gets it charges an arm and a leg for the bottle, or has a very limited selection or whatever it might be. So pretty limited edition, very hyped. I did get 2 bottles, and I've already tried one. I tried one. It was like 2-3 weeks ago. I've been saving this for the cameras, so I have already formed an opinion. But the question is, with every review, can it live up to the hype? So, the amazing Cosmicky's highly acclaimed KBS, a flavored stout, is good for everything a flavored stout ought to be good for. Ale brewed with chocolate and coffee, aged in oak bourbon barrels. That's the big selling point. Kentucky bourbon barrels. So, we'll go for this. The first coffee stout I ever had was Obsidian Stout from Deschutes. Goodness. Well over 10 years ago now. And so I've measured, it was a delicious beer, I've measured every coffee stout since then, after that. By that beer. This beer is unlike Obsidian. It's much more caramelly, much more sweet. Since this came to mind, I thought I'd mention it. It's a good genre of beer, but this is actually a imperial stout. It's going to pour it into a tulip, as it deserves. The closest thing, or to a bulb, the closest thing I could come to was a wine glass. So I'm just going to do this in a pint glass. You can have a thin, tight bubbled head. Tiny bit of lacing. Hopefully you can see that. Not much. It's been like 3 weeks since I had the last one. Big nose. I mean, a lot of that straight imperial stout, high ABV alcohol scent, but then a dark chocolatey malt scent. When you look at it, I mean, it's completely opaque. You can't see anything at all. But the smell is not as overwhelming as you might expect from this body. Leaves a nice little something behind. Wow. Big chocolate. Semi-sweet chocolate really rushing to the front, and then an evaporative alcohol sort of effect, and that's when the caramel starts to come out a little bit. The coffee. When you have an espresso with a couple of raw sugars early in the morning, that little note at the end, when you're done with that little note. The body of the beer itself is light, or is right down the middle of the road, lighter than you'd expect. But the after effects of the flavor and the alcohol are so potent that you end up with just a really big feel. There's the coffee. Even as I breathe through my nose, I can taste the coffee coming out now. So when I first had that first gulp, it was all chocolate. But now the chocolate's still there in the background, steady, and the coffee's emerging in a big way. There's the bourbon. This is, yeah. So initially the alcoholic taste of an imperial stout was just that. But now it's actually smoothing out into a bourbon whiskey sort of thing. Very nice note. Yeah, those last couple of sips have been big on the whiskey front. I think that's really all I have to say about this beer. Otherwise, I'll be repeating myself or speaking more inanity than is normally my wont. So I'll stop here. Excellent beer. If you get a chance to pick it up. Founders Kentucky Breakfast Stout. Cheers, y'all.